Let's do an energy update because there's a very interesting phenomenon taking place in our world right now. Darkness is dissolving. But I want you to imagine with me a little visual that I'm going to paint for you to help you understand what's going on. And parts of today's talk are going to be quite personal. In other words, you're going to recognize where you're personally facing this new energy that I'm talking about, how it's personally affecting you, how it will continue to personally affect you. And we're also going to get the zoomed out perspective, the bigger picture of what's going on. The energy that we're dealing with right now is a pretty difficult one. It's darkness dissolving. Here's the picture. Imagine that there are many sheets of darkness, layers of darkness. But because they're dark, they're invisible, they're unseen, they're unacknowledged. And when something is unseen and unacknowledged, guess what happens? It gets ignored. We don't notice it. It doesn't bring our attention to it. But darkness that's beginning to ripple and dissolve into light makes a fuss, becomes very visible. And this is where the current energy is. That big sheet of darkness in the process of dissolving, it's starting to throw off debris. And what that can look like for you at the personal level is plans failing, falling apart. It can look like one of the biggest themes of the world right now, treachery. Coming to terms with treachery and betrayal. Save this video. Save this video for yourself for when you do go through treachery and betrayal, that you can re-watch it, because this is going to give you a lovely perspective on what that's really about and where healing is, because this is something that we do. Sometimes we experience a deep pain and we almost don't know where to put it or don't know where to go from that deep pain. Kind of like saying, how am I ever going to recover from the shock of what I've gone through, been through, and going through? So let's talk about this big energy that we're busy confronting. As darkness gets dislodged and starts dissolving the way it is right now, you can feel like you're being dislodged. You can feel like you're being shaken at the core. But it's not you're being shaken. It is the density that's being dissolved, and it's not comfortable. It can feel like a slap in the face. It really can. It can feel highly confrontational. Right now, I just saw moments ago, I sat down to do this recording and neighbors, dogs got out and people were walking in the street. The dog attacked the neighbors. It was just a little bit of craziness. But it was at the same time exactly what's going on the planet right now. Mayhem, slap in the face, craziness, darkness being dislodged, whole lot of aggression coming out that seems unwarranted. That seems like this shouldn't be allowed. This shouldn't be permitted. So what is the zoomed out picture? The zoomed out perspective of where we're at right now is that we are in the process of becoming whole again. But to become whole, we must see and reclaim the stuff that was once hidden. And what is darkness ultimately? Really, 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 if you break it all down, I know a lot of people are going to say darkness is evil. No, it's not really. It can become evil, yes, but that's not what darkness actually is. Darkness is the denial of light. And what is the denial of self? I want you to really listen to this. I want you to pay attention now and see how and where you can apply this to your own life. Make this personal. Darkness is the denial of light. But the denial of light is the denial of your true self. And that's the treachery and betrayal that occurred to each and every single person participating in the false matrix. The entire population, in other words. We've all experienced an unacknowledged betrayal, an unacknowledged treachery. Where we came in seemingly innocently, hey, I'm coming into this matrix to have an experience of life. It's going to be great. I can leave at any time. I've spoken about this, by the way, in many past videos, because I know a lot of you guys, when I talk false matrix, you ask me questions. They're pretty much all answered if you go and watch the playlist on the false matrix. But we came into treachery and betrayal. We came in to what we thought was going to be a very simple experience that we could leave when we were done. Meantime, back at the ranch, we got trapped in a false matrix, repeating over and over again the same mistakes, the same punishments, the same patterns, the same hardships, to the point of exhaustion, which is where most people are at right now. And by the way, most people are there at that point of exhaustion because they're there at the finish line. And no, I don't mean that you're finishing life, and I don't mean we're graduating tomorrow, because that's really what ascension is. Ascension is that moment of graduation, so to speak, from the false matrix. Finally, hallelujah. That's why so many people are in such a state of exhaustion, because that's what happens when you come close to the finish line. And close might be a few years away, might be a few days, might be a few months. I'm not making any predictions of time, but as you come close to the finish line, that's when the exhaustion smacks you. That's why a lot of people are going, I can't carry on anymore. I can't carry on. The illusion is actually what they're saying. And that exhaustion is, I can't carry the denial forward anymore. So this is a good thing. It just feels like reality is challenged, because it is. And that you're being challenged because you are. So at the personal level, denial of self, which is self-compromise. Self-compromise, these are the places where you've sanctioned the well-being of another at your own expense. So you have put yourself into a position of compromise and then justified it by saying, yes, but I needed to, whatever it was, fill in the dots for you, keep my job, keep my relationship, keep my family member happy. There's always a payoff. We always convince ourselves that there's something beneficial to be gained through self-compromise, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But the truth is, self-compromise creates more compromise. You cannot take something as toxic as self-compromise, but somehow expect to create love from it. Because the false matrix taught us that all that really mattered was the end result, and how you got there, irrelevant. That's not how it works in truth. And remember, what we're doing is we're in the process of returning to truth. So we've got to learn new ways of being. And one of those new ways of being is maintaining honesty, authenticity, and integrity. So that self-compromise, which remember is the denial of light, the denial of self, self-compromise will lead to the compromise of others, even if it looks temporarily like it's going to serve others. Long term, it never will. Converse is also true. And the converse is when you self-honor, even if it looks like you're harming somebody else through your own self-honoring, long term, everyone wins. Self-honor is a ripple that creates more honor of others. But self-compromise is equally going to create more compromise of self and of others. So that's when you might see it at the very personal level. It's going to look like self-compromise, self-betrayal. But most people aren't going to see it at that level. And the reason why most people aren't going to see it at that level is because most people still see reality outside of themselves. And that's okay. And it's not wrong. You're not failing if you're seeing treachery and betrayal coming from the outside. And what that is, treachery and betrayal from the outside, is a copy, a reproduction of a core wound, which is the denial of light, which is the denial of our light, which is the pain of being human and feeling separate here in this false matrix world. It was all about being deceived. So as we bring this back into remedy, don't be surprised if rug gets swept out from under you, and from the external world, you feel like, man, that came out of left field. Somebody has just shocked me by their behavior, which has been disrespectful or dishonoring of you. It's almost like the other person or people in your world, they've denied your power. They've denied your sovereignty. They've denied that you matter. That's what we're looking at. That's what that theme of betrayal and treachery is. It's almost like they're saying, look, I want to get what I want to get, and basically to hell with you. You just don't matter. So however that plays out in your world, remember what I said, it can be personal, but most people are going to see it through the bigger picture right now, which is absolutely fine. No matter how it plays out in your world, don't make it about the messenger. Make it about the message. The messenger might be you. The messenger might be people, strangers, family members, friends, doesn't matter. Whoever the messenger is, don't get entangled, but look at the message. The message is, it's time to reclaim your light, and it's time to honor your light, and it's time to embrace your wholeness, and it's time to be whole. Because you are in the process of rising above all the treachery, the lies, the darkness, the betrayal, and returning to the wholeness that you are. Imagine the world that we're moving to. The world that we're moving to, which is also known as the divine matrix. I know a lot of you guys freak out when I use the word matrix. You say, oh no, Kerry, we're going from one matrix to another. Matrix only means reality. That's all a matrix is. It's a reality, like your body is a cellular matrix. Doesn't mean that it's a trap and a bad place. The false matrix was absolutely exactly that, because it was based on denial. It was reality turned upside down and on its head. We're in the process of turning it the right way around, and as we do, we are the snow globe that gets kind of shaken and then left to settle again. So this is all going to settle. The place that you're in right now is all going to settle, but let's talk about what that looks like once it's settled. What does that world look like that you're in the process of creating? Imagine operating from self-respect and self-honor and having that met by the external world. Very few people alive can say to me, I know what that feels like. You might have experienced it intermittently, and you might have experienced it through the odd person, little flashes in the pan here and there. But imagine living this way, that the respect and self-honor that you've cultivated within is reflected back to you. That strangers, perfect strangers, assume respect of you. And respect doesn't mean superiority. Again, there are so many words that need to be redefined because they were so incredibly clouded and distorted in the false matrix, purposefully so, of course. But as we purify and clarify, we're going to realize, man, to be respected just because I'm alive, to feel another human being deem me worthy of respect and treat me accordingly just because I'm alive, what is that going to feel like? What is it going to feel like when somebody assumes the best of me? What is it going to feel like when somebody acknowledges the love that I am? For example, you get to ask yourself these questions. That's the world that we're in the process of creating. But as we create that world, the dissolving of many layers of darkness will ensue. And when it does, it feels like something's falling apart, but it's not. It's the darkness that's falling apart, not you. It's the darkness being dislodged from within you. And of course, it's disconcerting. And of course, you're going to question yourself. Whether it's, am I in the right job, right relationship? Have I made the right move? Am I making the right move? You're going to second guess yourself. So you're going to think, oh no, what's going wrong with me? I've got all these layers of self-doubt. No, this is not something wrong with you. This is not you're doing something wrong. This is an organic process and a very natural consequence of releasing the many layers of illusion that were once so interwoven into the fabric of reality that we could no longer tell illusion from truth, false matrix from divine matrix. We simply couldn't tell the two apart. We were so convinced that the world that we lived in was the world that we were told it was. We even began to assume our own guilt. There I was moments back talking about being respected. Another beautiful thing to contemplate is, what does it feel like when somebody looks at you and just assumes that you're innocent, like a being of purity, a being of innocence? Can you even imagine what does that feel like? Because we've been brought up in a world with such a tainted view of ourselves and of human beings that we assume the worst in each other most of the time. We walk past people and we don't even second guess our own selves for doing this. We don't even think that this is somehow unnatural, and it is very unnatural. When we live in the divine matrix fully, permanently, once we've passed that ascension point, we're going to go, wow, do you remember when we thought so badly of ourselves and each other and what that felt like? And that's all it will be. It will just be a memory. But until such time, know that as you perceive the world around you, it's very important not to fall into the trap of going, this is my fault or this is their fault. Instead, wow, what an experience we co-created. And look at what we're dissolving. All of that darkness, confusion, illusion. Look at what we're dissolving into the fullness, the totality, the wholeness of light. Because when light is not denied, what then? When light is claimed and owned and embodied, what then? Well, then you're living a higher reality. This video I've put up for you today to support you as you deal with darkness dissolving. Share it with a friend who might be going through the same thing. And I got a little pep talk. You ready for it? It's in this video just over here. If you don't see it pop on your screen, I will link it in the video description box below. Watch the pep talk. You might need it more than you realize. From my heart all the way into yours, lots of love, everyone. Bye-bye for now.